Ladies all across the world, listen up. We're looking for recruits. If you're with me, let me see your hand. Stand up and salute. We're going to talk about the battalion. I've decided to go on a journey. Aldous Sandflys is leaving port. 100 million GP, 200 million GP, 300 million GP, and so on. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Aldous Journey. Today, we're going to talk about 1 battalion strong. We're going to talk about the battalion. What is it? We're going to talk about Aldy's relationship with it, when they first came on my radar, what I thought of it. And we're going to talk about, more importantly, we're going to talk about the time Aldy went on the battalion round table. He's going to share some of the behind the scenes stuff. And yeah, it's going to be super interesting. Anyway, let us give a tribute to the wonderful battalion. Aldy kind of, so when Aldy first started being a content creator, or even kind of before that, I tell a story once when I was sitting in Bangkok and I was just kind of filling in a day as you do, listening to, I think it was an Escape podcast episode, and they talked about how they were going to have this huge announcement, and the announcement at the end was their content creators program. They were going to have all these amazing content creators programmed together. And there was a time when that was quite prevalent in Swiggle. People were kind of moving together, and a lot of the bigger content creators, like people like Grid and Cubs Fan Han, would start to people would start to gravitate together into these large groups. Now, when I was first a content creator, you know, a tiny little person streaming to 4 people or 3 people, I went through a long period of wanting to kind of join somebody like the Escape podcast or like the battalion, and I would have said I was probably maybe a couple of beers short of actually trying to join. In fact, I think I probably wrote the message about 5 or 6 times to the wonderful Fort Mort, who kind of is the, shall I say, figurehead. If I do say, I have to be truthfully honest here. I don't know a lot about the battalion, where they came from, but I certainly kind of know the people in it. So if I do happen to accidentally say the wrong verbiage, then it's not out of kind of, it is merely my understanding from the outside. So I very closely, because of all the different groups of people. There was the Escape podcast content creators people, there was the Gambit people, there was I figured as a content creator I would fitted better into the battalion style, a sort of people that mix knowledge with entertainment, who certainly kind of want to build a community of their audience rather than necessarily just I shouldn't say just extract money. That makes it sound like I think some content creators used to do that. But no, certainly the battalion was a group of people who wanted to put on good entertainment, build a fun environment, and then have the game as a secondary. Now, I often talk about anytime I refer to any stream, as other people say, I always call it a presentation. I do not stream Swiggle, I put on a presentation of Swiggle. And very much I would say that all of the content creators that are kind of inside the battalion or have been involved with the battalion over the many iterations, they would put on their stream first. And it would be very much characterized as their stream and their type of stream. And then they would be of a collective. So whereas there's other sort of groups of people where every single person involved puts on the same type of stream, and therefore the collective is almost the same. So there's a sort of a similarity, shall we say. Now, I was close to wanting to join. I don't know if I'd been accepted. But I certainly was somebody who really wanted to join the battalion because really saw them as being a very close knit. And look at where I came from. I was certainly a big viewer of ours when he used to play Swiggle. And that's essentially why I ended up in Death Star Port Designers, was because there was this content creator that I really engaged with, and therefore that's why I ended up in that guild. So let's talk a little bit about, later on. So 28th of March, 2022, I was asked if I wanted to appear on the Battalion Roundtable. Now, I was super excited. Now, I was more excited than anything I've ever been excited for in my life, because it's nice to be on these things. It's you feel kind of valued, and it's nice to interact with new people, interact with a different environment, and to see how other things have done. And very much through this entire series, we talked about best practice. And today we're going to actually talk about best practice when it comes to a round table, which I actually thought the Battalion kind of nailed. I've been lucky enough to be on other round tables in my streaming career and be accepted on there and actually not laughed out of the building immediately. So I was invited to be on the Battalion round table, and I got the shock of my life. Because an hour before the show, I was sent the contents and the running order. I was like, what? And I think the Wolf had sent it to me. I don't know who prepared it, but the Wolf was the one that sent it to me. And for the first time ever on being on one of these things, I actually there was a structure to it. There was like, all right, we're going to cut, this, and this. And it was beautiful, but it wasn't like a strict structure. It was a very kind of loose, right, we're going to talk about GAC first. Then we're going to talk about the changes to this kit. And this Inquisitors are just coming out. Then we're going to cover this, and this. Then we're talking about... And it was just beautifully, beautifully laid out. And, I was able to kind of print that out and write notes that I could then kind of follow and what I wanted to see in the points. And there was certainly... Getting that beforehand really allowed me to kind of... Right, okay, shit, I'll look that up. So I was able to go onto that Battalion Roundtable and actually give a very good account of myself, because when they were talking about the changes to, say, Fifth Brothers Lead or Fifth Brothers Omicron, I was able to go, yes, that's added that, and it's changed from that, and yes, I think they maybe done that to change this, and, you start to look like a far more credible person, and therefore it was a great experience. I think a very, very tight show they used to run. 2 hours long, really, really solid. And the content was there, very, very thick from start to finish, and discussed in great detail. Because like I say, because everyone got the notes or the running order, everyone was able to look up exactly the change, look up the implications. Whereas you're on other shows or other kind of round table type things, and often somebody will just bring out a datacron. Oh, well, I think the Nest datacron will be amazing in the next set because I think it will mean it's a hard counter for that, and that. And of course, you don't know what the Nest datacron is because nobody told you we're going to talk about that. And therefore, they then appear the only person that seemingly is knowledgeable. Whereas this was such an inclusive thing, and it was such a smart thing to do. So I take my hat off. I take my hat off to the Wolf and everyone involved in that to keep it so organized and so kind of together, because it really means that the people watching got a very, very solid, very knowledgeable, very considered. The other thing that's really great about the Battalion Roundtable is you're looking at, shall I say, 5 or 6 or 3 or 4 or however many are on there at the time, different players. They all have different focuses. Fort Morton loves these ships. Wolf is this kind of knowledge of the modding. You've got Ricky P, who is entertaining and loves his Karen, and he's, you've got all these different kind of people on there, all doing they're very different in the bits of the game they enjoy, the characters they enjoy. They all have associations and stuff with them that's really, really strong. And I think we'll put links to all the channels down below. And I just think that it was a really good way of putting together a round table to have different people on there, not just people at the same GP, not all in the same guild. I find some, shall I say, round tables are very, it's the same old content. It's people all at the same GP, or it's people all in the same guild. They all have the same opinion. It's all very samey, and therefore you don't get that discussion. I'm not going to say disagreement or argument, but you don't get that discussion of viewpoints, or somebody saying, no, I think you're wrong. I think it's this instead. So I think that really is valuable in a round table, and I would always look out for that. And I take my hat off to the round table they put together. The other thing is we should probably touch on the 1 Battalion Strong channel. Raised a huge amount of money for charity. And therefore, a lot of this Battalion Roundtable content actually went on a channel where none of them were making money from it. They were giving all of that money through to charity. Now, that is... I think that shows where the community's moved over the years. I think that would have been unheard of a few years ago. And yet, that fostering of that environment, that being about giving back to other people, very, very key, and very kind of... You can tell that comes across, is that these are content creators who, yes, they are happy with donations, and donations make the world go round, and it's always great when somebody gives you a donation or subs or gets involved. But what's more important is they actually come to your channel and they actually chat and interact and give a good vibe, give a good community. And I think everyone involved in the battalion, every streamer there has a good community. They're certainly all very good, very personable people. I can't really think of anything bad about the battalion. I've probably already put my foot in it 50 times and I'll get a million DMs telling me you've done all that wrong. But no, I do think the variety of the content is really what makes the battalion very, very strong. I think they're not all a group think. They don't all play the game in the same way, and that creates this beautiful balance of people. And you see that in the guild as well. I mean, I'm in Battalion Bravos rather than Battalion Alphas. I should say Truth for Godot is also... Maybe we should run through all of the content creators. I will put them all links down below. And I apologise if I miss people. I'm talking about the time I was on the battalion, which is a sort of a different set of group of people. But there's a lot more now. I do even think Shaka might even be in Battalion Alphas now. I don't know. It's been a while since I looked. I'll put all the content creators down below that I can find. Death Helm, I think, maybe as well. Anyway, okay, sorry, I'm just naming people. But what a great guild. And I think actually, because you've got all those people sharing the one sort of guild, you kind of have there's a lot of vibrancy. There's a lot of opportunity for people to play the game, to know people. And yeah, I think I take my hat off to the battalion. I think what a great addition to the community, I would say. I think they've added a huge amount of entertainment. They've added some brevity. And I even kind of take my hat off at times to Fort Mort, who has obviously at times, he's stopped playing the game and then he's come back to the game. And yet, in his channel introduction, he's very honest about that. He talks about work-life or game-life balance. He talks about what he used to do and how he used to be a GAC master and what he can now do and how it might change the content. He's very honest with it, and I think there's an honesty to all of them, which is very kind of good when it comes across. So is there only one thing left? And that is to be 1 battalion strong. Salute.